Punch Out Boxing, delighted to be here with the legend himself, St. George Groves. 9 year anniversary of that greatest night of your life, beating Chudinov to become a world champion.
Yeah, very well done. Yeah. 9 years ago today, I beat Fedor Shudinov for the WBA Super Middleweight World Championship. Winning a world title at the fourth attempt was my, yeah, most amazing moment in boxing. A lifetime's work achieved, finally fulfilled. And okay, it was all downhill from there. So I was, yeah, it was a wonderful moment.
Listen, I mean, becoming the champion of the world, what an achievement. I mean, how does that feel, especially after three failed attempts? Did it make it sweeter that night, or was it just a case of, oh, well, I've been here and finally done it?
No, it was yeah, I'd imagine it made it sweeter. I didn't manage to win one the first time, or the second time, or the third time, but yeah, it felt like it was probably my last chance to make it count, make it happen, and so but, I wouldn't have had it in me to have gone again. I'd signed up for the fight with Chudinov, and I'd also signed up to go into the World Boxing Super Series. If I went in as the champion, I'd be number one seed. But if I didn't, I'd probably be on the other side of the draw, unseeded, with you know not not uh, not 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 feeling good about myself. So yeah, a lot of pressure on me that night, but managed to make it count, make it happen against a really tough, strong, unbeaten fighter in Chudinov. Um, got the job done, and it was incredible.
Yeah, you're one of the few top level fighters that has transitioned out of the game. It seems. I
Yep.
don't know how you feel,
Yeah.
but a lot of fighters we know struggle with it because nothing can ever reach that high. When you see some of your old foes, Badu Jack, Callum Smith, still at it, do you ever think, oh, actually, yeah, I'll look at some of these youngsters, I could probably handle them?
Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't get the itch to get back in the ring. People will say, "Would you come back?" I say no, and they're like, "What about for 10 million?" You're like, "Well, yeah." That's a bit stupid, but yeah, my boxing days are done. Of course they are. I'm 38 now. I've been retired 8 years, and time flies. And it's crazy in some ways to think like Callum Smith still going, Badu Jack was still going. Jack's in his 40s. Chris Eubank Jr. apparently is coming back. That guy, he's the opposite of Fury. He should be retiring rather than time and time again, let alone then retiring and coming back. So, yeah, the biggest blessing I could have is that I finished boxing and I'd had enough of boxing, and I'm happy to call it a day and have no itch to go back in and chase something that ain't mine anymore. I'm not the fighter I would have been or once was. So you have to be happy with what you had and know that you gave it your best at the time. Things could always been better, but things could always be an awful lot worse. And because of that, I can be really happy with what I did in my career. I did do a lot of good shit in my career. I achieved a lot, and yeah, win the world title with the fourth attempt was a tough thing. But even up until that point, I broke some records and set some set some pulses racing, and yeah, so we were good.
Yeah, I think you fought in a stadium which had a big attendance. I think I heard something about that, but yeah. I mean, you've got Lucas now to look after. Um, what a talent! How do you compare him, say, to yourself and the guys you fought in terms of his talent and the level that he can get to?
He's a tremendous talent. He's more of a raw talent than I was. I'd boxed mine, from the age of 10, where he didn't quite start boxing that early, and I'd been fortunate enough to box for England and travel all around the world, fight the best guys in the world. So, and win two ABA titles by the time I turned over. So, but Lucas, he could have hung on for a couple more years and gained a load more of that experience, because I think he was on squad. But sometimes it's all about down to timing. And he wanted to turn pro, and I was like, yeah, I think you're in 22 years of age he was then, or maybe no 21 he was, and but a big, strong, physical, athletic fighter with the right attitude, um, who all of a sudden thrust in the into pro lifestyle. You've got to live and breathe it. So, in some ways he's ahead of me. In some ways, a little bit more inexperienced, but so much potential. So much potential. Really exciting working with him, and I've just imploring everyone to jump on his journey now. So you can tell him, yeah, I saw him fight at York Hall on dazn, because one day you might be paying a lot more for your ticket prices when he's fighting in a major stadium.
Yeah, I was glad I was there for his debut, and have been following for the past couple of years on the small hall scene. You brought him up the sort of the old-fashioned way, not this modern trend, which is the Lomachenko effect, I think you can call it. This expectation that fighters move at breakneck speed, and then a lot of the learning isn't done because they've been rushed. But kept him on the small hall scene specifically for that, to get it all right before he steps up.
I've kept him busy. So I've kept him busy. This is going to be his ninth fight in 18 months. There won't be a lot of prospects out there who can say they've had 9 fights in 18 months. I know prospects that have probably been promised that and have had 2 fights in that time. So we've kept him busy via using small hall shows. He's a popular guy, so he can sell enough tickets to pay his way, and his opponents are really expensive, so he has to sell a lot of tickets. But that's an investment that he needs to make in himself, and he knows that, and he has done that. But he's also obviously boxed on boxer cards on Sky and opened the show for him. He's boxed on Wasserman cards, and open the show on Channel 5. He's also boxed, this weekend, it's not Wasp anymore, it's Misfit Bros, but he's opened the show for dazn. So, yeah, it's supplemented with small hall, because there's not a promoter out there right now in the UK that will guarantee a prospect like, say, Lucas, 6, 7 fights a year. They just don't do it no more. They might get one, they might get 3, possibly 4 if they're lucky, unless they're an Olympian and they've got a load of stuff behind them, like a Leo Tang or a Pat Brown. Other than that, the rest of them don't. So, yeah, if you can, there are shows week in, week out. York Hall's booked up every Friday and Saturday. Get in touch with your local promoter. Get your guys out. Get them boxing, because it's where they're going to really build their fan base. Because they have to sell the tickets, so they have to be approachable. They have to be likable. They have to perform. And also, yeah, you don't want your prospects 3 years in, 4 years into their career, and then challenging for a British title in terms of only had 10 fights. Like, what's that all about? If Lucas carries on at this rate, he's going to have 20 fights, but in 3 years. So he's in a good spot.
Yeah, developing nicely. And is it this year that you'll let him off the leash and get into the championship scene? I mean, cruiserweight's hot, a lot of young prospects, a lot of great British rivalries to be had in the coming years. Or do you still want to maybe just hold it back for another year or 6 months?
No, I think he's good to go. I think he's really good to go. He's got to keep performing. But yeah, I'm pushing. I'm trying to build his brand. I'm beating the drum for him, and if we can get him in for a major domestic title, I was hoping that, I knew the stars would have to really align for him to get a shot at the British. As I say, with Pat Brown being really looked after by Matchroom, it looks like he's going to be in there with Hedges. That's a great fight. Commonwealth title that might still be held by Alois Jr. You know, Lucas, he doesn't necessarily need to fight those guys, but if those fights come up soon, great. If not, their paths are 100% going to have to cross if these guys keep climbing the ladder. Because Lucas is going to the top, and I think Pat Brown will as well, and Alois Jr. looks great. But Vidal Riley might be our next British sensation, fighting for a world title. Really good fighter. And then there's some really good, Jack Massey's on that Billum Smith card. Billum Smith, you've got Chev Clark, Isaac Chamberlain, and probably many others who I'm thinking of right now. I'd love to see that those guys fight each other, and I'd love Lucas to fight all of them at some point, because there'll be good fights. That's how you really build your name here in the UK, with domestic dust-ups, and we'll see it. Love to see it.
Yes, indeed. Mouth-watering prospect. Okay, George, thank you so much for your time. Yeah, good luck Friday night, and we'll speak to you then.